Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, Super Bowl. So we got your two teams. You got your Eagles and your Chiefs. I don't know.
Take
You
a
have
minute.
any? Yeah,
Let's
you
take
want
a
to talk?
minute and just like talk about like the story, some storybook moments around that on the Super Bowl, right? Because that's
Sure.
what they're trying to. That's what the script has been written. That that's why they. That's why the refs gave Chiefs the win last week.
Of
They
course.
get, so we what do we got going with the Eagles and the Chiefs? We got Andy Reid's return to Philly.
That's
You know,
true. That's going to be something right there, right? Wow, who would have thought this was going to happen at the end of the season? That's cool. I mean, like Andy Reid's been his own man. He turned KC into the juggernaut they are today. They they made they drafted Mahomes and they paid him handsomely after that first Super Bowl win, but they set up that deal to where like for the next decade they can always kind of put players around Mahomes because you at the time everyone was like, "Wow, you're just going to go broke with Mahomes," but it's like
you're talking about
you
today's
don't
money.
understand. You're talking at the time, yeah, you're talking about today's money, but over time that cap is going to be so less that there's going to be quarterbacks out there that will get paid more than what Mahomes is
Oh,
because
for sure, easily.
his $500 million deal isn't really fully guaranteed. Granted, he'll get it if he were to go to like multiple Super Bowls and stuff like that, right? But that contract is really like a 3 or 4 year contract, and they could easily get out of it. It's one of those things. If they really want to get out of the Mahomes, they're not trapped in like the weeds with him though either.
Yeah, and Andy Reid, I don't think he left Philly on bad terms. I think it was just kind of like a mutual parting type of thing. Like, we had a
Right.
good run, but on the other, I mean, he's turned, like you said, he's turned Chiefs into the juggernaut they are today. But Nick Sirianni's coming in his first Super Bowl as a head coach.
Yeah.
A guy that kind of struggled last year. I was critical of him. This year he's kind of embodied that Philly persona where he's like that up in your face, flip you
Hmm.
off type of guy. It's kind of like a tale of like two different football cultures, if you want, right?
Yeah. I mean, for Nick, I'm just hey, your
Take it all
first Super
in.
Bowl. Take it all in. It's your first Super Bowl. I don't think he's gonna like panic or anything like that. You still got a lot of experience with the Eagles still on their roster. So at the end of the day, I think he's gonna have a good one. This is gonna be one of many for him.
Yeah,
So
and for a lot of them, this is like, I mean, there's only five players on that Eagles team that are returning to the Super Bowl from
yeah,
that previous Super Bowl winning team. That's Lane Johnson, Fletcher Cox, Jake Elliott, Brandon Graham, and of course Jason Kelsey.
yeah. And then of
So
course, speaking of Kelsey, you got the Kelsey Bowl,
yeah,
right?
the script writes itself sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, because Kelsey, one Kelsey and them have a podcast. Jason Kelsey with his brother Travis Kelsey, and they've had like both Mahomes and they have Hurts on that podcast throughout the year. And now they're just having like we're gonna call it the Kelsey Bowl at this point because come
Yeah.
on now, that's gonna be a big thing. Kelsey's way is into that career of his, and I don't know. I like both of their personalities and all that good stuff, but like, man, I just want someone else to win than Casey.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. And
Right.
we were talking about this before too, and the fact that those five guys are on the super or from the our um,
Hmm.
carryover from the last Super Bowl team, it kind of goes down to like what you were talking about building out the Eagles team, right? Like you start those,
Yes.
they started the fact that those four players, excluding Jake Elliott, who's a kicker,
Mhm.
they're deep in the trenches. They're like stalwarts there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. They invested in that old line. They still kept it invested over time. They have made the choice to like get rid of Carson Wentz early as they could. I think that was like the 2019 or 2020 season. From there, they got Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts didn't have a good, starting year or anything like that, but of course they basically just like they hunkered down, they invested in him, and as you can see over the years, these past couple of years, they've been making trades and or acquirements from free agency or otherwise to get players around him. For instance, it was the last I think it was this past draft, they could have went for Traylon Burks, but then a lot of people were saying, well, Traylon Burks, he really looks he's like an AJ Brown. And then for them, they were just like, why get Traylon Burks when you can just trade for AJ Brown, right? Because the Titans weren't willing to pay for AJ Brown at the time, and this is what you get this is what I talked about way earlier in earlier episodes of the podcast. You're going to get a lot of GMs are going to start trading more often. If you at least say like, what do you learn from every Super Bowl, from the Rams Super Bowl? it taught everyone that you should probably use some of those first round picks, not all, but you should probably use a first round pick, or maybe just make a trade, make a big trade, because like we don't see a lot of those trades happen, and we're starting to get those often now, right? Even for like a lot of the how the first round of this upcoming draft is shaking out. Some teams got a lot of teams got two. Some teams got like with us, like we made that trade with the Broncos, so now we have two picks. You got, I think it's the Eagles, and I forgot who else has like a couple of picks up there, but regardless, you're going to get a lot of teams that are going to start copying this. They're definitely going to copy whatever the Eagles have done. Because honestly, we were talking about like what's the strengths and weaknesses of each team, and we can actually say with the Chiefs, I can actually say some weaknesses myself. But then like with the Eagles, it's like they're just loaded.
Yeah.
Like the front seven, we'll just say front seven, especially with Hassan Reddick. Oh my gosh, amazing, right? Because
Yeah.
we might as well just talk about it at this point.
Yeah, but really quick, it's not even fair to say that like Philly sold it. It's actually, I'm not even going to say it's not fair. I'm going to say it's factually incorrect to say that Philly sold the kitchen sink so that they can, acquire players like AJ Brown. Like they traded a first round pick for AJ Brown to the Titans. But
Mm-hmm.
you look at last year, they traded their first round pick for two first round picks from the Saints
Saints.
so that they
Mm-hmm.
can draft Chris Olave, and then that first round pick from the Saints that in this upcoming draft is a top 10 pick. Like
Yep.
that's some like
That was a
galaxy
stupid
brain
decision on
as
the Saints. That was stupid on the Saints to like
that
all
was stupid on the Saints,
literally
but
like you went up for
that's some galaxy brain moves.
yes.
If something like that comes on your plate, which is why I'm always like, maybe if something like that came on our plate, we can do something too. But it's like lightning striking the same place twice, right? Like they have somebody has to be dumb enough to do it.
And they also got who was it? They got what, Darius Slayton, I believe, or is it
C.J.
no.
Gardner
Yeah,
Johnson,
Steve Gardner Johnson, and also James Bradbury as well,
yeah,
right? They
these
got a
guys,
lot of good vets.
these guys who were kind of afterthoughts, right? Like they kind
Hmm.
of came in and they just they just flourished on in that Eagles defensive
They're,
scheme.
they're actually using Hassan Reddick how he's supposed to be used as compared to when he was on the Cardinals and stuff, where he's basically like they have him, the Eagles have him on the line rather than having him in space. And oh boy, have you not seen him in the playoffs recently?
Yeah. We're
So,
getting into the deep dives of each team. So let's just break it down. Let's start with we're gonna go a little bit into each team with regards to like their strengths, weaknesses, some key matchups and
mhm.
some X factors to look out for. So, starting with the strengths of each team, we got to start on the high. Start with the Chiefs. What do you see as the strengths of each of those teams?
Mahomes, Kelsey, and the passing
Kelsey
game.
plus Mahomes, Mahomes plus Kelsey.
Basically, just the Mahomes Kelsey factor is just the one thing, right? If
Yeah.
that's their big strength. Mahomes himself, Kelsey, especially with Kelsey, because Kelsey has just, oh my gosh, how many times have we seen a game where like Chiefs are out of the game, but the next thing you know, Kelsey does something big, 80 yards something here, or like a good 30-yard to set up a field goal there. So Mahomes, Kelsey, in that passing game, and I'll also include like the crazy plays or the creative plays they can even do, even crazy plays in the red zone as well. So we're gonna definitely see some like crazy red zone plays. I'm not gonna say they're gonna be frequent, but they're gonna pull out all the stops.
Oh yeah, for
Because
sure.
it's the Super Bowl.
For
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
Chiefs, at least I would add on to because obviously that's what everybody's going to say. The Mahomes Kelsey Mahomes connection.
Yep.
That if like we were saying, I think last week, if you could put a connection into a Hall of Fame, that's probably an all time connection.
Hmm.
Um, I would add to that the D line for the Chiefs has been subtly, if not pretty good, as of late between Frank Clark and Chris Jones. Chris
Hmm.
Jones kind of shook off this curse of never being able to get a playoff sack. Or I think he had career playoff sacks or something crazy like that, even though he's been in the playoffs time in and time and again.
Yeah.
But that D line has a way of getting to the quarterback and getting sacks, especially with Frank Clark, who's just like a speed freak off the edge too. And
Yeah.
so, that's kind of crucial when it comes down to, this time of the year for football teams.
Hmm. Yeah. And I mean, that's pretty much it. Like for me on the Chiefs, it's mostly just focused around their offense. I would say they have improved that D line with a couple of players, like you mentioned, Frank Clark and Chris Jones. So I mean, they just got to be consistent and score, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Just score more points than the other team.
Yeah, score more points.
Canal's key to the game. Score more points.
Got to score more points than the other one. And that's for both teams, by the way. They got to score more than the other.
Yeah, that's the key. What about the Eagles?
I'm gonna say for them, Hurts and the rush game, because you combine with a quarterback that can run the ball with a team that had the top rushing attack. think they had over 39 rushing touchdowns, which was more than I think it was like the Green Bay Packers from like years ago, which was like they had 37 if I remember correctly. So like this is like unprecedented, especially with like the quarterback is also like adding on to it. That's a big one. They have a solid offense. Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, okay, and they got
Yeah,
a solid tight
okay.
end in Dallas Goddard as well.
Yeah,
And I think in the solid front seven. Oh my gosh, Jordan Davis, like Fletcher Cox, all and then like Linville, like was it Linville Joseph and all of them. Like oh my god, they got the
Hassan
whole
Reddick, Brandon Graham, like they just everybody on that front seven is a
and
baller.
they have depth
Avonte
too.
Maddox.
Yeah, they have depth too, so they can always rotate people out and they can still be fresh and stuff. But like man, like that,
Oh
like
yeah, you're right. Because they filled in with guys like Ndamukong Suh and stuff like
yes,
that. Yeah.
yeah, they because they had that one loss. That one loss was I think it was either from the rushing game or something. And then Nick was basically just like, you know what, never again. Let me go get Linville Joseph and Ndamukong
No, you
Suh.
got to give credit where credit's due. That's Howie Roseman, man. That guy has been like GM of the decade with all the moves that he's been pulling.
Yeah, they're just those were like the free agency pickups right there. And then finally, they have they have vets, like actual leaders, locker room and on the field on both offense and defense.
Yeah. For me, I mean, like you said, Eagles best rush attack in the league. I was harp on about how it's important it is to run the damn ball, but
Oh, facts.
they have a passing game with Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, and AJ Brown that complements that rush attack so well. Like once they get that rush attack going, they got the play action, and with the threat of Jalen Hurts with his legs, and being able to throw the ball deep.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just crazy. And we all know how good of a go ball he can throw to AJ Brown. That connection has been like documented time in and time again this season. But on the defensive side of things, like you said, front seven, they're 5 sacks away from getting like the most sacks in a season, which you could throw an asterisk to because maybe they didn't because week 18 is or we have an 18-week season instead of 17-week, but still it's a hard number to reach.
Yeah.
And they're first in pressures, and they don't really blitz all that often. They just kind of generate pressure with
The
their
base
standard
four.
formation. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, it's just amazing like what the Eagles have done to where like holy crap, like and they were like almost undefeated for the regular season, just one game loss.
And
So
on the defense, or also on the defense, their secondary led the league in picks. So pick your poison, really, because you're not gonna get a lot either
that
way.
Eagles, I'm telling you, defense can win championships, and I think they're going to be key. Well, I mean, before we get in terms of strength, they're going to be definitely be key. That defense, if you can hold like Mahomes off and cover Kelsey, like if I had to say choose one player on the each of the offenses to cover, I would say for the Eagles, maybe watch out for Devontae Smith because that's a speed demon right there. And then because AJ Brown too, he's good too, but you got to pick one. I'll just say Devontae Smith for now. But for the Chiefs, just cover Kelsey, and then you worry about whoever other receivers are trying to step up and stuff like that. Of course, I would say MVS, but at the same time, I'm gonna keep it with Kelsey because that man has been a game changer for the Chiefs almost practically every game.
I mean, that's a good transition into like looking at the weaknesses of each team, right? For me,
Yep.
like the Chiefs, you like you said, who's in that receiver room, right? Because
Hmm.
who's going to stand out in that receiver room? They brought in guys to replace the production of Tyreek Hill, like Kadarius Toney, Juju, Mecole Hardman. He has been injured. He was already on the team, and MVS, and it's just I don't think they had a single 1,000-yard receiver this season, which is
Really? Oh
wild
wow.
for the Chiefs. I mean, I'll fact check that in a second, but you know, who can really step up in that receiver room? That's the big question. And then on the other side, on the other side of the play call sheet, you don't really have any consistency in terms of like what kind of rushing attack you're gonna get, right.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
And
because who's the running back? Like, we know who the running back is, but like they it's like a complimentary run game, if you will. Like it's just like a little. It's another version of like the Bills run game.
yeah,
It's
it's
there.
it's there. I mean, if they go off, it's nice, right? That's actually a great way of putting it because Isaiah Pacheco has had some good games. Jerick McKinnon has gotten a lot of solid touchdowns and stuff like that. But in terms of like their utility, Jerick McKinnon kind of emulated a lot of what Austin Eckler was doing towards for the last season, right? Not a
Yeah.
lot of receptions, not a lot of yards. Good option when it comes to the red zone. Isaiah Pacheco is kind of emulating that Devin Singletary type of production, right?
Oh
Where
yeah,
he had certain games where he'd put up, 80, 90, 100 plus yards, but for the most part, he's not the star of the show.
yeah. I, it's true. The offense is like it's only being upheld. Basically, it's kind of going against that thing of like don't do it. Like if you're trying to win it all by yourself, but like the Chiefs have found a way to have like a system with Mahomes to throw to like any receiver and kind of help them be successful. A law somewhat to like Tom Brady in his earlier years. So it's if they can get that like the receiving attack open, I think they're definitely get some touchdowns here and there. It's just a matter of consistency. Like if they cool off and they don't get it going, because again, the Bucks showed that if you keep the pressure up on Mahomes, they're not going to win a Super Bowl. They lost a Super Bowl to the Bucks with that, right?
A
So
Bucks team that I don't even think if they blitzed, it was very infrequently. And
right,
I'm glad you brought that up because that is 100% the analogy, the parallel that I'm seeing is that in terms of like units matching up, it's a lot like the Chiefs offense facing that Bucks defense all over again because that's what the
they've
Philly
changed up the O
defense.
line. They've changed up their O line a little bit since then. Of course, obviously that was like they knew that that was their weakness, so they've
They
put
had a
some
lot of
pieces
injuries
in
to be
there.
fair too. We can't take that away from them. The Chiefs O line.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, for
And
sure.
I just looked
Mhm.
it up too. Juju was the closest one, and he had 933 yards receiving in the regular season.
Okay, yeah. So well, if anything, they were spreading the ball around essentially because basically any receiver could pop off at any
Anybody with
one game.
hands.
Basically, if you can catch and you can run fast down the field, sure. I'll just say like the weaknesses I'm seeing is just they ride on that Mahomes Kelsey connection a little too much at times. You again, if you stop Kelsey, he's gonna have to rely on the receivers, and then like I'm not saying you can double cover everyone on the field. You can only have so many guys, so I would just say watch out for Kelsey. It's
If you
watch
haven't
out
heard
for
of him,
Kelsey, but if you also stop that connection, I think you can do a lot with that. So um, yeah, if you take out one, the team kind of crumbles. Like either one, the Mahomes or you take out Kelsey, it kind of crumbles. But again, if the defense can get after Mahomes, that's like pretty much it. But I'm also going to say their defense as a whole, somewhat because their defense has been kind of sus this whole season. They've kind of tightened up for the playoffs, like as most teams are going to. But I think that they still have like, especially with their corners and stuff like that. They do have some rookies out there. I think you can find some matchups there to like to take advantage of, but it depends if I mean the Eagles got a very strong O line for Jalen Hurts, so I feel like they can protect them, but you never know what they can do. For the Eagles, it's weird to kind of say what weakness they would have. I mean, you may have to go back to the game where they lost, where they basically like their defense just didn't do what they were supposed to do, and Jalen maybe got like a little frazzled in that particular game, which he seems to have learned from. But at the same time, it all relies on like the execution of Hurts because this is kind of like Hurts. This is your moment. This is it. I'm not saying like if you lose this game, it's over for you for your career. It's one of those just like it hinges on your execution. Um,
I think that's fair to say because we kind of saw how this team functioned when Gardner Minshew came in. Not to say they were awful, but it wasn't. I mean, it almost felt like it bled into the way the defense played a little bit, right? Because
yes.
I think Sherm said it to KJ, right? The best defense is a good run game,
Yeah.
because that's where it starts with the Eagles, and that's a great point because if you have like if Chris Jones and Frank Clark can get in the backfield, it might create some problems for that.
But at the very least, I feel like Hurts is more mobile than Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes can't. Patrick Mahomes looks
He's got
stiff.
that weird run, man.
He got that weird one. He has that weird run, and like he's still quick. Don't get it twisted. But at the same time, like I will if I had to bet on someone's legs between the quarterbacks, I would bet on Hurts's legs more so than Mahomes, in my opinion. And I mean, Mahomes kind of suffered some ankle injuries, more not like anything like severe, right? But we'll see what just happens here going into that match. But that's like kind of the weaknesses I see so far.
For the Eagles, for me, I think the main thing that I was seeing that it's really hard. Like that's how you know it's a good team. It's kind of hard to pick apart. Like break it down unit by unit. Tight end, fantastic. Wide receiver, fantastic. Running back, O line, QB, D line. Linebackers, secondary. They're all excellent. The only thing I could say that the Eagles don't have is maybe experience at this level. For a lot of these faces, it's
Yeah,
a first time thing, and besides like the people carrying over from the last time the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, plus some new faces like Ndamukong Suh and
yeah,
those kind of guys that have won it. It's really hard finding a weakness, but they haven't been here at and meanwhile the Chiefs are on their third trip to the Super Bowl in like the last 5 years or so, right?
yeah, that's true.
And so that can, the environment, the setting can get to a lot of these younger players, and I think that might be the
Hurts included, because he
Hurts
hasn't been
included.
there. So that's why I said it hinges off of Hurts. Because like if you're just like choked up or something like that, I don't know what to tell you.
This one's for all the marbles, right? Like, you lose a regular season game, hey, you come back next week, you fight hard, but this is what it all comes down to. And if that cause, I mean, that might cause a lot of anxiety for like a lot of these young players, and that's like legitimately that's the only weakness I can see out of them.
Yeah. And do you have any like key player or position group matches that like to kind of look at
I'll
for this whole thing?
I'll reiterate the one that you said again, which was that Eagles front seven versus the Chiefs O line. The Chiefs O line, I said like the parallel was like the Chiefs offense versus the Bucks defense from 3 years ago. I think that's basically what's happening again,
That's
and
the
you can
key one. You hit it on the key. Like that's like number one. What is the Eagles front seven going to do to the Chiefs O line? Because it starts there
yeah,
for me.
and if you can't give Patrick Mahomes any time to improvise.
Oh my gosh,
It
yes.
doesn't even matter like, oh, I have him turned the wrong way or anything ridiculous like that, because there is no wrong way, there is no bad angle, there is no you know he can throw a ball literally sideways. He did that in the last Super Bowl he was at.
Yes, and then like he can always improvise well on a play. Like even when like he's coming down from a sack, he'll just throw the ball and then someone's like there to catch it and take it upfield for like another 20 yards or something like that. That happened this year, this
Yeah,
season. It's crazy.
and that's like the big one. And if Patrick Mahomes can't get going early, they're gonna force themselves to be into like a one-sided game, because then the Eagles will come back on their side and just do what they normally do, run the ball, because like we were saying, like the two playoff games the Eagles played, nobody really stuck out on the stat sheet.
Yeah,
No one had like a day on offense, but they were blowing teams out, and that's scary if you're coming up against that. It's scary if you think about it, next year, because a lot of these players are going to be coming back.
that's true. And like the thing with the Chiefs is that you don't know when they're going to hit you with a trick play either. So you have to definitely be disciplined for that. And
A ringer,
I know that they recognize like they're like, we know that you have a good front seven, so we're about to have like a lot of quick throws and stuff like that. So it's really just a matter of like secondary to that matchup will be like hopefully Eagles secondary can hold up in case like the D line can't get to Mahomes in time and stuff like that.
yeah, and they're healthy again back there too. C.J. Gardner Johnson is back,
Mhm.
leads the league in interceptions and that kind of thing.
Yeah, he was
You
tied
know,
with
for yeah,
Eagle and the rest.
the one and only dude. I saw like this is a side note. I saw some like if you could go what's the term for it? If you could go back and redraft the previous season, they
Yeah,
had like some people had like Tariq Woolen going third, Brock Purdy going fourth, and I'm like, man, you're
third.
talking
Okay, like I would give
man,
like Tariq Woolen's height, like his ceiling would probably be like
somewhere in the middle of first round, I would say, but not
middle of first. I don't. I would say like late first, early second with Tariq
okay. That's
Woolen,
fair.
and
But they
then
put
Brock
they
Purdy's that late first, early second as well because
yeah,
he wasn't like the standout quarterback, but then like
dude,
oh
I
yeah
thought
for sure though.
I thought people's like draft predictions or projections or whatever were head ass sometimes, but man, people can't even get it right when they're redrafting. But
Oh
anyway,
no.
for other key matchups, I would say just to rattle off my last one, probably the Eagles wide receiver room versus the
Mhm.
Chiefs secondary. It's not that the Chiefs secondary is terrible. They got my boy Trent McDuffie out there. Shout out
Yeah.
Huskies. But the Chiefs are likely game planning to stack the box and limit the run game. That's what you kind of have to do against this team. And if they go ahead and do that, you can look to the Eagles to try to get their run game going by passing, because they have that ability. They got
Mhm.
Devontae Smith, who's a fantastic route runner, the Slim Reaper, and AJ Brown. There's plenty of film on him catching go balls. He did it 3 times in one game once.
Oh yeah, true. I mean, I think those are like the two, like those ones you put up are like the two major matchups because at the end of the day, that's what it's all going to come down to, and really, like ultimately, Eagles front seven, and basically, what can the Chiefs offense do?
Yeah.
That's like for both sides. That's what I was going to even say. Like, even if I were to say, what about for like the Chiefs? Well, the Chiefs, they just got to get their offense going and keep it revved up because that's honestly their strong suit is
Yeah.
their offense. So um,
And that just kind of caters to Andy Reid. Andy Reid is an offensive minded coach. Like
yeah,
he's been an offensive minded coach for a long time. You think about all the great quarterbacks he's coached and that kind of thing.
facts. Is there any like I guess like X factors or anything like that? Some players that are just like they'll be the key changers in this game.
Yeah, to look like guys that I would look to maybe turn the tides of the game. Probably
Yeah.
be, like you mentioned MVS. He was the guy that turned the tide for the game against the Bengals. And, I could just, because I don't think Juju is going to be healthy for the Super Bowl. I don't think he's practicing as of right now still. I think Kadarius Toney might be back, but I don't think
I think
Juju
they
is
got a
back.
lot of. I think they had a lot of their people. Like a lot of Chiefs came back from some of them off of IR, while some got put on IR and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
I
think
forgot where.
Mecole Hardman got put on IR or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, just you could replace MVS with any damn Chiefs receiver stepping up because like the Chiefs are going to do with try to take out the Eagles run game. We know that the Eagles are going to try to do the same thing like you were saying, take out that
Mhm.
Travis Mahomes connection or Travis Kelsey, Travis Kelsey,
Travis
Patrick.
Mahomes.
They took his last name. Travis Kelsey, Patrick Mahomes connection, and
Mhm.
if teams game plan entirely around that, that'll open up some space for your wide receivers, assuming that your front seven can't get home.
Yeah, actually, I think one player from the Eagles for sure would be Hassan Reddick. He's been on like a stretch of
Uh,
games,
He's on a tear, dude.
postseason and even during the season. So I think he's going to be a key. Like even the last game, he was a game changer in that first half. I know it kind of cooled off a little because that's probably because they game planned for him in the second half. But like, man, did you see him in the first half where he was like tackling? He even got the sack and it looked someone was even the game commentators were just kind of like, wait, I know he sacked him, but that looked like like he strip fumbled him. And it's like no. I was like, oh
Yeah,
my gosh, that would be so awesome if he did because it was like he had like like two hurries, a sack or two, and like some
he's just
tackles.
been
And
an absolute force of nature for that defense, and
he's gonna be the one because of course you got your anchors in the middle, right? Even
it,
Jordan Davis could just step up out of nowhere. You don't know. Like
yeah,
Jordan Davis isn't just some big dude that takes up space in the center. Like this man ran like a 4.75 or a 4.7 for his 40 time in the
that's for a big
combine.
man. That's
He is
fantastic.
6'3" or 6'4" and like 340 pounds. I need you to understand like that's like
Faster than me, and I weigh half his weight.
yes, like a lot. Like even when I was in football, I think I hit like 4.7, a little bit below, maybe to like a high 4.6, but like I was a lot lighter than like Jordan Davis. And
Yeah,
Jordan Davis is doing it taller and bigger than me. That's a hey, that's an X factor right there too.
and it comes down to like how they reinvent, how they have that Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox. They have that like foundation.
Who is an
That
X
guys.
factor on that defense at this point? They got
Yeah,
Sue, they got Linville Josephs. Like just throw everything.
yeah. You can anybody who it's just it's like when the Seahawks faced the Broncos. All those years ago, right? Who was going to step up? Malcolm Smith, the guy that was a seventh round pick, got the Super Bowl MVP for a defensive return touchdown and a fumble
Oh my
return
gosh, that
recovery.
was
So
like the
like
best Super Bowl too. Like it was just like where were the Denver Broncos offense at? They were gone.
they were the best all time, and that was the side note on that. I think it was such a one sided game. Come the second half, that people were turning it off, and like the ratings were going down. but
Oh,
but anyway, this game kind of it has that air about it, right? We'll find out really quick, what kind of game it's going to be, and I think that's going to be the important thing. But like you
yeah.
said, anybody can be an X factor on that defense. But
I mean,
any
Jalen
other,
Hurts will be for the offense because everything the offense is going to flow through him, whether he's passing that ball to someone, handing it off, or just running at the ball himself. Because you never, when they get into the red zone, they have many options to get into the end zone too.
oh yeah,
So,
ring around the rosies.
whoa, Chiefs, yes, Chiefs
Oh,
got the ring
you
around the
said cheap.
rosy. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
but you're right though. Chiefs got the ring around. Like that's why I said about the Chiefs. They got the crazy plays in the red zone, but then like with the Eagles, it's like you got to stop Hurts, you got to stop all these receivers or our
yeah,
running backs. Take your
yeah,
pick.
yeah. That's true too. Yeah, I thought
I
you
think
said
it's for
Chiefs
both
earlier. My
sides,
bad.
technically. No, it's all good, man. Like, because, like you said, like you just reminded me of that play too, and they got
Such a
called.
troll moment.
They got a penalty for it. Then they were just like, okay, we're gonna stop playing. Actually, run a regular play and still score a touchdown.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's the Chiefs for you,
Who were
especially when
they
they're in the
matched
red
up
zone.
against? Was it the Titans? No, it wasn't the Titans.
It was a playoff. I thought it was a playoff game.
Jags. Yeah, I thought it was. Who?
Jags. I thought it was Jags.
Yeah, was it Jags?
No, It might not have been Jags. I can't believe I forgot what game who they. It was late in the season. It was like either right before the playoffs or like the first game of the playoffs for
Okay,
them.
yeah, yeah.
Regardless,
It's like one of those yeah. It'll be on the DVD at the end of the season if they win the Super Bowl. Like,
oh, that then you know they're gonna talk about all of that, man. But
oh yeah,
I mean, thinking like as we're talking about these two teams, I mean they're two powerhouses in their own right. With both Mahomes on one side, you got Jalen Hurts and his Eagles on the other. Um, Again, like we said this before, like you have one. It's still history. You got two black quarterbacks in this Super Bowl. For the very first time, especially two quarterbacks that played in Texas.
yeah.
Shout out to Texas, but man, like it's gonna be a crazy game. I don't know how it's gonna. I hope it's not like a blowout. That would be so disappointing. I think it's gonna be a close game. I can't give you like a score off the top of my head. I feel like it's going to be down to the wire because it's going to be one of those kind of games
Hey,
where
maybe the script is written. That we already know what the results are going to be.
they're already in the room right now. They're just doing rehearsals at this moment. Like, hey, you got to make sure that the ref calls you for this right here and stuff like that, right? But
Yeah.
at the end
Eh,
of the day, like, who do you think? I guess we can kind of go into if people haven't guessed who our picks are. Who would you pick to win the Super Bowl?
yeah, we it's the same we had last week. It's Eagles, man.
I thought there was going to be a change. Like, oh, you know what? The Chiefs, man. It's
No,
always the
you
Chiefs.
convinced me.
Yeah, we're both basically saying the Eagles, so that's our Super Bowl pick. Eagles are going to get it. I think they edge out, even in like but not even looking at the odds, which they still have the Eagles edging out. I feel like the Eagles have if they play on all three sides, both offense, defense, and special teams, they can win that game.
Oh, easily. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, because they're the more complete team. So, but the thing is that Vegas only has them as a 1.5 point favorite. So, script's written.
The script is written. They're doing rehearsals right now. They're just making sure like, hey, we're gonna have like a controversy moment right here that everyone's gonna be talking about for months, and this is
Yeah.
what your social media team's gonna have to know ahead of time. Don't
but
slip up.
yeah, but it's kind of wild, right? Like, we kind of mentioned about it when we were talking about Tom Brady retiring, but like they're the old guard and quarterbacks. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is the only one left, but
Oh shoot, you're right.
it's basically like our childhood is over. Like those
Yeah,
guys that have been around for a long time, Peyton, Drew Brees, Philip Rivers, Tom Brady,
that's a whole
Aaron
era. Like, did you see
that
did you see that? Did you get that from that tweet from PFF? Because they were the ones that tweeted out like a Photoshop thing where it's like end of an era and like all of those old QBs
probably.
are gone. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's like that's our childhood.
Oh man, like
We
if
played those teams for like a decade on Madden.
facts, bro. Like that's what I'm saying. Like you got to at least post that picture from PFF on the YouTube, man. Like you just got to show because like I got it right there too. Yeah,
Oh
'cause
man.
I have it saved, so I can shoot that to you. But
My
yeah, I have all the six of those. So they had Eli
Eli
Manning,
Manning, yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger, Big Ben.
Oh
Uh,
shit, I forgot about Big Ben.
yeah, you got Philip Rivers, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning. So both of the Mannings and all that, like six QBs are just they're
No
finally
Aaron
gone.
Rodgers. Aaron
Aaron
Rodgers
Rodgers. Oh,
is still
oh,
playing,
oh
yeah,
my
but
gosh.
yeah, still
No, let's talk about him real quick. Just real quick quip. I heard a thing, right? Everyone keeps asking what he's doing. He was
oh
playing
man.
golf and all this stuff. He literally said, I'm not going to make a decision about whether I'm going to come back to play again next season or not, because he could be on this list too. But, uh, I'm not going to make a decision till after he calls it a darkness retreat or something like
Dude,
that.
he's like dark isolating for like 4 days or something ridiculous like that.
I mean, hey, I'm not gonna lie to you. I get it because when you're actually keep yourself tuned like I'm saying, like I'm not speaking for Aaron Rodgers, but have you ever just wanted to have like a day where you can just whether you want to concentrate on something, but you don't have like social media open. If you want to
Turn
watch
off
a
your phone.
YouTube,
Don't throw yourself down a cave or a well or wherever he's
yeah,
doing his
no,
retreat.
no, go to a little cabin or something like that, and
Oh
hit
yeah.
the nature, and it's only 4 days, right? I'm just saying, like, if you made your money and you just want to, I personally would do it. I would just have the time where it's like I want to go, like, just I want to go underground for like a few. I have my moments where I want to go underground for like a week at times, man.
Yeah,
So
just
I truly understand it from Aaron Rodgers' perspective. He's like, I'm going to make a decision after that because he can actually he's going to be looking at himself. That's
mhm.
one thing about those types of retreats in general. Now, I'm not talking about the details of his darkness retreat, but even though it sounds edgy coming from Aaron Rodgers,
I
but
don't know, man. It feels like there's like ayahuasca involved in here or something as well because that
oh,
man's
I
on something.
I don't know. I mean, why not? I mean, why not just get attuned with nature and stuff? I'm not saying like live outside, but like I would have a nice cabin. I'll have like a nice area to go to, And if you want to get high or something like that, go right ahead. I mean, I feel like he deserves it. He's made his money. Granted, he hasn't been back for a Super Bowl, but at the same time, he needs to make that's a very important decision. It's going to affect the Green Bay Packers, if not him and his family.
Yeah, and there we can start the rumor mill and stuff like that. Like Jets are the name that are being thrown around. Maybe Raiders because they're moving on from Derek Carr.
Yeah, but
But
Raiders. He could go to the Raiders because Devontae Adams. I have
Aaron,
to go follow my boy.
yeah, because while he was at his golf event, a fan asked him, "Hey, Aaron, Devontae Adams is looking for a neighbor," and Aaron goes, "Tell him to buy me a house with all that money he got."
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. Like Aaron's pretty, I think, like a chill dude. Obviously, until you kind of get into like what his beliefs and stuff are, and just in general, his and what he thinks. But at the very least, he looks like just a dude that's just like, I'm
vibing.
here. You know who I am. Like he knows his worth. There was the question of like, bro, are you trying to win? Like, when Gronk was like, are you trying to win an MVP or are you actually trying to win a Super Bowl? Like, come on, bro. So
Yeah,
it's just kind of one of those things, right? Where you have to question it. But besides that, like, it really felt like he was in it for like the accolades and the stat padding. And I'm not saying he was literally just out there throwing the ball just for the sake of it, because Drew Brees had his moments where you're just like, is he stat padding? He trying to
yeah,
get
for
that
sure.
record up a little bit before he goes because he knows Tom Brady's going to still go after him. Um, but yeah, we'll
Yeah,
see what
that's
happens with Aaron Rodgers. But I think he'll come back for another season. It just might not. It won't be with the Green Bay Packers
oh
unless
for
he just
sure.
if he retires, then it's definitely the end of an era. That's all of your old QBs that we all know and love. Not all of them, but that we know. And then now we're on to a new batch. The
Yeah,
Josh
which is kind of
Allen's,
crazy
the
with
Mahomes.
that's why
Actually,
like
Russell
Mahomes.
Wilson's still there too.
Yeah, but like that's what I was trying to get at too. Is that the fact is that like we're looking at like Patrick Mahomes as like the leader of this new generation of quarterbacks, right? And so like the fact that he's already at his third Super Bowl, he's already kind of got like that quote unquote villain status type of thing where or like like the what do you call it, the favorite status, right? And
I would
so
say Burrow would be like the more the villain compared to like people look at Mahomes as the hero, while like Burrow might be like the villain because he has an origin story for himself with these Super Bowl or like trying to get to the Super Bowl again and stuff. So that's just my
yeah, that's
opinion
true.
though.
And so with at least with this specific Super Bowl, I would
Hmm.
say that he's kind of got that villain reputation as like the guy that's just like kind of like how people looked at Tom Brady and how when they were at the Super Bowl every year kind of thing, like God damn it, Tom Brady again. But
I will actually challenge you and say it might be. I would say it's Jalen Hurts' villain story because a
you think
lot of
so?
people have you not seen like even like Skip and everyone else were saying like they don't really see Jalen Hurts being a franchise QB for the Eagles and stuff like that. And look where he's at now with the Eagles. Like they were
Oh yeah, that's true.
undefeated, like
Well, it
almost
shows what Skip
undefeated.
knows because
Yeah, it shows what Skip and others know, right? But there was even a thing at this like Super Bowl media day, right? And I saw this clip too. Someone was talking to Jalen Hurts. They were like, "Hey, Jalen Hurts, funny story. I really didn't think you were gonna be making it with this team and stuff back in the day." Jalen Hurts was just like looking at him, just letting him finish, and he was just like, "So, I want to just tell you, bro, like, I'm sorry because you obviously you're here and you brought the team here." He was just like, "Okay."
okay,
He literally, no, literally, that was his response. Was like, okay, okay,
fair enough.
right, because like people were literally writing him off too, and it's just like, look where
He didn't
he's
write
at
back though.
now. He did not write back. I mean, in the spirit of Gino,
Yeah, I did not write back.
I definitely did. I didn't even know. Wait, you wrote me? I didn't even care.
I didn't. I
I'm
left
just
you on red.
even if you have an Android phone, or no, even if you have an iPhone, even if I have an Android, I'm just gonna send you red
Yeah.
just to make sure you know. But yeah, man, it's a lot, and the fact that like you got reporters coming out apologizing to Jalen Hurts and stuff like that, it's like, oh, even if I was Jalen, I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, you want to ask and say anything else besides you want to give me an apology? Like, okay,
It's kind of funny too because like the like Super Bowl press conferences and stuff like that are starting, and like one guy asked Nick Sirianni, "How important is it that you go out there and win the next game?" Nick Sirianni just kind of looked at him like, "It's a Super Bowl, dumbass. Come on, what are you telling me?
it's very important. Oh, like
You're
who?
new here, aren't you?"
Oh, you must be who? Like who? Like, when did you start? Oh, a few weeks.
uh,
Okay, I got you. I got you. You're just trying to start off with a warm up question. Okay. Oh
oh,
no,
you're
that was
from
the actual. That was the
oh,
actual
you're from
question.
you're from ESPN Europe. Oh, football, not like soccer.
Damn. Yeah, man. Like that Super Bowl media days are
It's
those are a
wilding.
trip. But
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Right. I remember that. The best. That's the best one.
I was thinking about that's how I was going to start the podcast as well, but I stuck with the scripted.
Of
I was like,
course.
we're just
Because
here so we don't get fined. So welcome to the Misreps podcast.
yeah, man. I would want to find the other people so I can get some money in my pocket, but you
Yeah. Do you
know,
know Tom Brady is like Tom Brady immediately started his own podcast now. It's called Let's
yeah,
Go. And
yeah.
his first guest was Bill Belichick, and they had kind of a moment which you kind of just appreciate,
Yeah,
you know.
I heard he got emotional because like Bill Belichick was like, I mean, he had to retire at some point in time. Some
You
things
got to
have to
do the
come to an
impression.
end.
You got to do an impression. He's like, you got to retire at some point.
Oh,
Well,
you gotta retire
he's
at some
a very
point.
good
And
quarterback.
he
I
played
love you.
football. He played football for me. He executed well. 7 Super Bowls. 7 Super Bowls. Like just seven.
I saw I saw a reel like while my internet was cut, I saw a reel where it was like Steve Belichick was like someone was doing an impersonation of Steve Belichick, and he was watching Coco Melon doing his weird like weird tongue thing or whatever. And then Bill Belichick walks in and he's like, "Hey Steve, you've been watching all that film I sent you?" And he's like, "Yeah, Dad."
Yeah, man, because man, I'm actually glad. I mean, Tom Brady can start anything and it'll just pick up, right? Obviously, you'll be like, "Yep, it's the start of the podcast and stuff like that." So he he's gonna be working with Fox. Will he ever do a comeback, kind of like how Brett Favre did? I highly
I
doubt
hope
it.
not.
I hope not, and I highly doubt it because like it's like why, and then who, and then like what
What are you
team would
trying to
want
prove,
you?
man?
He don't need to
You
prove anything. He tried. He already
no,
lost. He lost his family over football. I mean,
he's got more Super Bowls than any team in the NFL.
this is facts right here. Facts.
What is
And
it, 6 or
he went
7?
to 7. He
7,
went
yeah.
to 10 Super Bowls and won 7.
Yeah, 2 because of he lost 2 because of Eli and 1 because of Saint Nick.
Yep. Man,
Yeah,
that's like, can you picture him having rings on all of his fingers though? Low
Bill
key.
Russell style.
Oh my gosh, just like what was that? And like what was that? Like I remember like all those commercials like just have all of like the Super Bowl
Yeah.
rings on one. It's just like what was that? What was that rookie? It's just like all Super Bowl rings. Like
Yeah.
but anywho,